Hey everybody, welcome back to Ogre Speed Shop. So we're gonna get into some maintenance on this truck to prepare for my trip to San Diego. And one of the things we're gonna do is a new transmission filter, because it's been 110,000 miles since I got the transmission and it's never been serviced. So it's about time. And I'm also gonna add a little bit of the Lucas transmission stop slip stuff too, just as a preventive measure for it. I've used it in the past and it's always worked really good. So this is what we're doing. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so we're gonna get the truck up on the Rhino ramps and see if there's anything else that we need to do before turning in the transmission. So let's get that done. So that took a couple extra tries because Dick kept wanting to walk underneath the truck while I was trying to move it up on the ramps. So we got her up on the ramps now, so let's get underneath there and see if there's anything we see that we need to do before we pull the transmission pan. All right, let's see what we got under here. All right, so one thing's for sure. I definitely live in the country now because it is dirty and muddy underneath here. You can see all the mud and dirt. And this is a pan we gotta get out. And it's pretty covered too in mud. Yep. I think we might need to pressure wash this before we get started. I have to pull this Y pipe off of here too to get to that pan. Sure looks like it. This is gonna be fun. Let's hope I don't break any bolts in the process. I don't see any real rust, so I don't think it's gonna be an issue. So, yep. I think it's about that time to get wet, because we're gonna get this outside and get the pressure washer under here and try to clean all this mess up before we get to it. And I think that transmission mount needs to be replaced too. So while we're in here, we'll do that too, because I've got one. I've had one for a couple of years. I bought it a while ago. So might as well do it while we're in here. All right, so I think to pressure wash this, I need to get it up a little bit higher, but I want to do it out here in front of the shop because the wind is kind of blowing that way, I think. So if I can do that way, it's going to minimize the amount I get wet. But so I'm going to try to set up right here in the front here and try to raise it up as high as I can. Maybe I'll use these blocks with the jack stands. And I just don't like doing it on dirt, but you know, what can you do? So let's get it moved out. That heavy duty mat right there, I'm going to use for the to use the jack with. Used it in the yard yesterday for the with the trailer, and it worked pretty good. So I think I'll be able to lift the truck up, and then I'll get jack stands underneath there, get it up as high as I can, so I can get better shot at the underside of the car, the truck. All right, we are jacked up on the jack stands now. I wasn't gonna put one of these cement blocks on each one, but just figured I'd test it out, see how it works, and it works fine. I don't think it's gonna be going anywhere. It's only gonna be up here for, you know, an hour at the most, I'd say. Ain't gonna take that long to wash it, but just preparing for how long it might be up there, but I don't think it's gonna go anywhere. So let's get the pressure washer out and prepare to get wet. All right, let's get this thing cleaned up underneath there so it's easier to work on. Boy, that's a little wet. All right, so we got it pretty clean underneath there, at least clean enough to do the work. I also found some, I'd bought some of this. Where's it at? So this wire loom to recover the trailer wires in the back because it's all broken apart. And I just found some more underneath the truck on the transmission side of it that needs some more of that. So I'm gonna be doing that while I'm doing the transmission pan as well. is just putting some more protective covering on that. But we're good to go to, probably let her dry for a little bit and then bring her back in the shop and get ready to go on dropping the pan. Next day, we got the truck back in the shop, got it up on ramps. I'm probably gonna go up a little bit higher on that just to make it easier to work underneath it. And we're gonna do some wire loom repair first on the back, and then we'll get into doing the transmission. All right, so it's time to do some wire repair. It's not really repair, it's just recovering some of the wires back here on the trailer wiring. So it gets protected because this is just bare wires underneath it right now. So once I get up underneath there, I'll show you. So as you can see here, all this wire is bare now, all the way up to this point. So it's gonna recover it. Probably should go a little further than that, like go up and over, but I'm not gonna feel like pulling the hitch off and everything like that. So I'm just gonna do up to that point and it should be fine. I'm gonna blow it off with some air first to clean it a little bit so this tape sticks better. I'm using cloth style tape, not just electrical tape, because it definitely sticks better. I don't know if you can see that or not. A little bit easier. This thing actually unplugs directly from the back of the plug here. Pull that off. So it'll be easier to tape it up. I just bought this from, I think I got it from Harbor Freight, so it's gonna be good enough. So just get an idea of how long it's gonna be. And cut it off. Save that for other projects. I know there's tricks to doing this using a wrench and whatnot, but this doesn't have a way to put the open or close-ended wrench on it. So I just gotta peel it and make it go on. It's not that hard to do. Get this little plastic piece that you can attach to too as well. And you can see that little thing on there just to strengthen it a little bit more. All right, so real simple, just gonna tape it up. I'm gonna tape this wire. I'm not sure what this little shunt wire is for. I'll have to figure that out at some point, but it's just a shunt. It doesn't do nothing. It's just a block off. But I'm gonna tape that up too. Tape all the way down to that little plastic piece that also protects the wires. And I don't think we need it up there. So that's all there is to that. Plug her back in and call her good. So that's one little repair done. Just real quick, I wanted to show you the wire loom underneath here that's messed up. So I just want to cover that too, just to protect it, help protect it. I mean, the whole thing needs to be gone through and recovered, but that's a little bit more than I want to get into at this point, and my dick. So, but the main reason we're getting underneath here is to drop the pan. And if you would just let me try to film here. But yeah, I'm just gonna drop the pan here and change the filter and do a semi flush of the the fluids and call it a day and get ready for my trip to San Diego. See the tray of the pan right there. So we'll be removing that. Got cleaned up pretty good by pressure washing yesterday, and I think I will be. Can't tell if that transmission mount's bad or not, but we'll check that too while we're in there. Since I have one, we can replace it, and that's about it. All right, well, it's the next day. It's Sunday, and yeah, I've been putting off dropping that transmission pan for a few days now, but I have all the parts, so I'm gonna do it, get it done so I can show y'all what I'm doing. So the truck was up on ramps yesterday. I jacked it up to get it higher, so I have more room to work under there, and much more better, you know, a lot more room now. And so let's go ahead and get to dropping the pan. And so we can get this job over and done with and get it ready for the trip to San Diego. So I don't know if y'all are like me or not, but one of my least favorite things to do is drop a transmission pan, because there's no way you're not making a mess. Unless you can drain it first. I don't have one of those cool suction things to suck out the fluid from the tube. So, gotta kind of make do with what I have here. And that's the drain pan. So I'm going to start with the front bolts. Get the tip down this way, so that way it'll spill this way instead of, even though it's eventually going to anyways, spill over the exhaust. Let's make sure I clean that real good when I'm done. So let's get this thing started. Now, in case you're wondering, these are 13mm bolts, being a 4L60. So definitely metric. And I'm dropping every single one of them. I'm also being blinded by my work lights, just so you know. But I do it all for you. Missed a little bit of mud while pressure washing, I see. Well, in case you're wondering why I have a sweatshirt on, because it's April 21st, and it was 43 degrees this morning, with it feels like a 38. So it's a little warmer now. It's like almost 50, but still, it's cold enough to make my nose run. I'll put one of these ones up front, back in real quick. So a little history on this transmission. It's actually a rebuilt unit. When we first bought the truck in 2010, it had about 34,000 miles on it. And I bought the truck because I was getting ready to deploy for 6 months. It ended up being 7.5 months at that point because we took on some Somali pirates. And while I was gone, I figured it'd be a good truck for my wife to be able to drive without any problems. The transmission decided to go out on it at 36,500 miles. So 500 miles past the manufacturer's warranty. So I just sent home $3,500 worth of, well, at that time we were in Seychelles, and I happened to win some money at the blackjack table. So sent that money home to pay for the transmission. So we had a transmission with a 100,000 mile warranty on it. So it's been 110,000 miles. So that's a little backstory on the transmission. All right. So they obviously sealed this with RTV because, well, it's never leaked and it's still stuck on there. So let me get a pry bar. I'm trying to avoid as much fluid as possible from hitting me, but it's just the nature of the game here. Oh, nothing came out. Interesting. I literally just checked it. The fluid was good, so a little dark, but overall not bad. How's there no fluid coming out of that? Maybe it is low. This is almost disturbing. There's no fluid coming out yet. This little plate here is kind of getting in the way. Probably where it goes on this side. How did I lose the pry bar already? Oh, found it. This little heat shield or something over here is kind of preventing it from coming down, but I can't believe it's not spilling any fluid yet. There it goes. Kind of had me worried there for a minute, like, what the heck? I'm just gonna let that drain for a little bit. Still kind of amazed it wasn't like pouring out the minute I popped those bolts off. So maybe it was a little bit low. Don't know, but I'll be back when it's done draining. All right, so far so good. I haven't spilled any transmission fluid yet, but I got one more bolt to go. And then drop the whole thing. And hopefully I can still prevent spillage. Caught on. Shifter cable. Oh, there we go. Knew it was too good to be true. That's why I took my sweatshirt off, though. So I'm not getting everything soaked. Okay, so fun facts. To get this pan out, you have to go up in here and remove this bracket, which holds the shifter cable. And it's a T40 Torx bit. And now, even with that removed, I can't jack up the transmission because the pipe is attached to that. I gotta remove the Y pipe to get to this thing. So hopefully these are flanged. No, they probably aren't. So I'm gonna probably need gaskets too. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. I gotta drop the Y pipe. At least I'll loosen it so I can drop the pan down just enough. It's barely not getting out, but you know how that goes. So time to drop the Y pipe. Well, the good news is at least the Y pipe's bolts aren't rusted, so they should come out pretty easily. So I'm just gonna loosen the Y pipe from the exhaust manifolds, and it should be enough to give me enough room to get up in there. Hopefully it doesn't tear the gaskets up. Otherwise, I have to find new gaskets for it too. Oh, such a life. Okay, maybe they're not gonna be that easy to get off. Oh man. All right. Oh no. Nope. Wow. All right, time to blast them. And then I'll be back when I break them. All right, so after about an hour of trying to get these bolts off for the exhaust Y pipe, I got all but one of them off, and the one rounded off, and it looks like that now. So, nut buster tool, and an air chisel and air hammer later, and it got it off. So, and the stud is not damaged at all. So all I need is a new nut, which is awesome. And you can see on the markings, you can tell how it was like, you know, rust welded basically to the exhaust manifold. Why I wouldn't want to move. But cut it off, so now I can drop the Y pipe enough to get the pan out. So let's do that and get the pan out of there so we can finish this job, because I wasn't doing an exhaust video. I'm doing a freaking transmission filter video. So here we go. Let's get this thing out of here. All right, since I got the pan dropped, or I'm sorry, the Y pipe out of the way, I got the shifter cable out of the way. Only 2 bolts left. I'm in a different position here, so that means I'm going to drop all the fluid on me. Actually, you know, I'm going to go back around to the side. So I got about almost 2 inches of clearance now. Well, maybe an inch clearance. So it should be relatively easy to get out now, I hope. Oh, transmission fluid tastes great. So my hopes and dreams of not making a mess with the transmission pan drop were shattered, but I kind of expected that. So, and I'm looking, this doesn't have a whole lot of material. So let's get the normal amount. I mean, this is 100,000 miles worth. So overall, I'm pretty happy with what it looks like. So I think it'll be fine. And yeah, I got a rubber pan gasket. I'm not sure if I like that or not. I like the this kind of material better. So hopefully that works and holds up. Just have to torque it a little bit lighter. But I'm going to San Diego so I can go to Transtar and get a good one when I'm in there. So let's get this thing cleaned up and put back on with a new filter, because we got to put that filter on. All right, got the pan all cleaned up, magnet back in place. It just sits in there. Gotta try to figure out, I gotta get the old seal out because I'd rather replace it with a new one. Shouldn't take much, but gotta get it out of there. So let it drain a little bit so it stops dripping in my eyes and my hair and everywhere. So, yep, I made a mess. It always makes a mess. Can't do an automatic transmission without making a mess. All right, so one thing you always want to do is compare the old to the new. Make sure it's the same. And it's definitely the same. Tube is the same. The reason why, because there's actually two options. You got a shallow pan and a deep pan. And I'll show you the difference with best I can with what I have here. So a deep pan has that little step right there. And a shallow pan doesn't. So that's pretty much the main difference. So nothing big, but that's it. So you can see a little step inside here too. That's what makes the difference between a deep pan and a shallow pan. All right, so I got the filter in. And there's a seal that goes up in here. I'll show you the old one. And it was a bear, real bear, to get out. And once I started trying, of course, I had to get it out. So I ended up using a little 2-pound slide hammer kit that I have to get it out. Now, however, the new one that came with it, see this little tiny lip around that edge? That was about 10 thousandths bigger and it wouldn't fit inside there, so I had to grind that down to make it fit. But got it in there and the filter's in now. So now we can concentrate on getting the pan back up on there and getting some fresh fluid in there. All right, so it's time to put the gasket on the pan. I'm gonna put a thin bead of this Permatex automatic transmission gasket maker, just because I don't trust the rubber ones that much. They have a tendency to not seal very well. And I'm just doing that as an added precaution. And I'm gonna put it on there, let it sit up for a little bit, then put the gasket on. I'm gonna put it between the pan and the gasket, between the gasket and the transmission. So just wanna make sure it's sealed and doesn't leak too bad until I get the proper or the better gasket like what was on there originally. And I can get that Transtar in San Diego. I can probably get it somewhere online too, but I haven't been able to find it. So I had to go with this one, local. It's a Wix filter kit. So I'm just gonna run a real, like I said, a real thin bead of this around it. Get another layer on there and get it up in there. So I'm doing a really thin layer, just spreading it out. Is this the best way to do this? I don't know. I'm just showing you the way I'm doing it. Like I said, I don't like these rubber gaskets that much. So, just working with what I got. All right, well, let's get it up in the car, in the truck. All right, so I get this pan put back in. A couple bolts ready to go. Maybe. And we'll sneak this pan up in there. Try to knock the gasket off of it. So I actually like to use my little snap-on drill to put these in initially, because it doesn't torque them down very much. I can change the torque setting on it to make it less, and it works nicely to get it initially set in there, so I can go back and re-torque them. All right, she's up on there now, lightly torqued. I'm gonna let it set up a little bit with that RTV. Then I'll go back through and do a final torque sequence in like an hour. All right, so these pan bolts call for 9 foot-pounds. That's it. So I don't have a torque wrench that goes that low, so I'm using my inch-pound one set to 108. Just do a cross pattern basically to torque them. And that's it. So went across kind of a star pattern, whatever you want to call it. And I just went back around the whole thing one more time. And it works out pretty good. So real quick, we got the pan back on, filters in. We got to do some button up. We got to put see that one bolt over there on the floor? That needs to go back into the bracket that holds the shifter cable. Got to do the exhaust, get that all buttoned back up. And obviously put the O2 sensors back in. And gotta get a nut for the one side. I'm gonna check the gaskets on the flange gaskets for the headers, for the exhaust manifolds. And that should be it for that. And I still gotta do brakes, because if you look in here, see how hot they've got. And if you remember back when I did the pads, I didn't change the rotors, but I got rotors on the way. So I want to have good rotors, and I'll exchange the pads back to O'Reilly's because they're lifetime warranty, and get all new brakes for the trip back to San Diego. I'm not going to show all that though, because you've seen me do brakes. Brakes are boring. So I'm going to go ahead and button everything up, and I'll let you know when I'm done. So I got the truck down on the ground now. All the exhaust is bolted back up. I still have one bolt or one nut missing on the driver's side, but it's the easiest one to get to, and it's not leaking. I started it up just to make sure there was no leaks, and it's a pretty flat area. All the gaskets were good for the flanges, so I didn't have to worry about replacing those. This is like a donut style over here, and just a flat ring style on the driver's side. So those are all good. If they start to leak, then they're easy enough to change out. I'm not too worried about it. So I think I did mention it to stop at the beginning. I am going to do this, put some of this Lucas transmission fix in, just as a precaution. It doesn't really feel like it's ever been slipping, but I just want to make sure we got some good friction material in there, so gonna add it just for the hell of it. So as is everything Lucas, it's a little thick, so it's gonna take a little bit to get it all in there. The goo, that might take a little while to go down, but it'll eventually go down. Yeah, added a little extra of the regular, but I should do what Derek does on Vice Grip Garage and added some to this first, or added the thick stuff to the thin stuff and shook it up. But so we're waiting on that to go down, and then we can start it up and see where we're at level wise. And I'm sure we're a few quarts low, so I don't know if it's gonna take a full gallon, but yeah, just gotta wait for it to drain in. It'll be a slow process because I should have mixed it first. All right, just got back from a test drive and everything's working pretty much the same way it was before. So, but now I know I got a new filter, new fluid, so we're good to go for the trip to San Diego, hopefully. I mean, it still is a 4L60E, so we'll see if it can handle hauling that big trailer and a car on it on the way back up to 17, which is a pretty good elevation climb. But anyway, so that's gonna do it for this video. So if you like this video, leave a like down there, leave me a comment, let me know what I can do better, and subscribe while you're at it. I really appreciate y'all watching, especially if you made it this far. So, till next time, I will see y'all later.